G'day YouTube, Turbo Tristan here, welcome back to the channel. As mentioned previously, we're just going to do some tidy up things on the car, so general maintenance and servicing. So we're going to change the oil today, got the oil filter, funnel, and also I'm going to pull out the thermostat. I've decided I'm going to rip that out and just seal it up. It's 40 degrees a lot of the time in summer in Australia, so might as well get rid of it. In winter time, I'll probably throw a thermostat in it. It's only 2 bolts, doesn't take very long to change. And by that time, I'll have probably had to drain some of the coolant out anyway, because I'll be turboing the car by then. So, you know, I'm not worried about on and off with a bit of coolant leakage on the floor. But the reason I decided to do that was I put the hose clamps on, let the car warm up, sat idling, didn't drive it, just sat idling in the driveway. Everything got like really hot to touch, like way hotter than normal. The temp gauge in the car stayed at halfway or just below, which was surprising to me because everything was super hot. There's actually steam coming off everything. So I don't know, I'm gonna eventually hardwire this thermo fan, which does work, up to a switch that I can control myself. Or maybe I'll just have to replace the temperature sensor down here. Maybe that's faulty, I'm not sure. But, you know, you can never be too sure. Better to be a bit cool, a bit colder, keep the engine temperatures down, make everything last a bit longer, so I'm not too worried about doing that. And also change the oil. One thing that I'm going to do when I change the oil, this engine has almost 300,000 kilometers on it, so I'm going to use some Newline engine oil flush and just let that run in there. It's basically like a detergent. Back in the old days, they used to use kerosene and pump about half a litre of kerosene in the engine, just let it run for 5 minutes. It used to wash everything down and clean all the carbon and all the dirty oil off everything, and it makes it run out of the bottom of the sump really quick and easy. So that's what they used to do. I'm going to use the Newline one because I don't want to go buy a litre of kerosene that's going to sit around to waste. The other thing I'm going to do is put some Newline petrol injector cleaner in there because I want to give these injectors a clean. It's 20 years old. I do want to use those injectors when I turbo the car, even though we all know they're way too small, but I'm going to try and cap the ends off to increase the flow on the injectors so that they squirt more fuel out. Some backyard tuning, just for the budget and just to do a bit of an experiment. So I want to make sure they're nice and clean for when I do that. Obviously, if it's not safe, I'll go down to Quick Bits. Quick plug there, and I'll grab some injectors off him. I will upgrade the fuel pump, which will help, so I'll do that before, but I'll definitely keep these injectors on a low mount small turbo setup and see what it makes. I've already replaced the light globes back to the ones that they needed to be. I've fixed the rear door handle, so that works now. No more Houso door handle, so both sides in and out. Turned out to buy that little clip, I needed to order a whole new door handle from eBay, but it was 22 bucks, so $22 for a little tiny piece of plastic just to fix that door. But you got to do what you got to do. Anyone that's a Honda person is going to know that these are the wrong plugs for the car. It's supposed to run BKR 5 E11s. Now I'm running the 6 because I'm going to turbocharge the car soon on this engine, so I've gone for a colder plug. The 1.1 gap is what the car runs stock when it's naturally aspirated. There's no difference between the spark plugs for a turbo car, except they come with a standard 0.9 gap instead of 1.1 gap. So once I turbo the car, I'm just going to pull these out and then gap them down to about a 0.7. So that's going to help not blow out the spark with the turbo. So the extra boost pumping air in there, it'll normally, with a wide gap for the spark to jump, it'll mean that it probably won't ignite. So you close that gap down, the spark's only got to go a short distance, bang, instant bang, and boost, power, So that's what I'm going to do now. Go ahead and just swap out the plugs. Really simple job. You need your ratchet, and because I'm not a Honda guru and I don't know how all this works, which one's which, I'm just going to do them one at a time. Most of you probably know how to change spark plugs, but you know, for those of you that don't, watch and learn. It's pretty simple and nothing to be scared of. Just give it a crack, and yeah, you'll be backyard mechanic in no time. Alright, so start with number one. Why not? First thing you got to do is pop out the lead, get that out of the road, and dive on in. Hopefully they're not over tightened, and hopefully they're not really loose. So ZFR 5F11 NGKR, these are probably a platinum maybe, not sure, but fresh plugs won't hurt. So one thing you want to do is just make sure there's no oil in those holes, and this one's pretty dry and the plug was dry, so we're right to move on to the next one. Now they have a crush washer on the end of the plug, so you don't have to over tighten them. There we go. Here we go, brand new, number two. Now again, you don't need to go ahead and buy the dearest iridium, platinum, HKS, Greddy spark plugs, you know, whatever brand you've seen out there. NGK are perfect, use them for a million years. And just the basic ones, and gap them right and replace them more frequently, you'll never have an issue. So that's my tip for the day. Number three, also a lot of crusty stuff on the end of that, pretty dry, lots of caked up carbon. So yep, notice how I'm holding the socket or the ratchet right down the end, so I'm not putting too much force on it. It looks like I'm squeezing really tight, but it's really tight on the head of it. If you grab here and pull, you get much more leverage and you have much higher risk of snapping the plug in the head. It's a little push at the end, take it out. You do not want to go snapping off spark plugs in the top of your cylinder head. Last one, no oil in any of those holes, so got a good gasket. The plug leads look good too, so that's another bonus. They've probably been replaced at some stage. You can see it's got number one written here, and that looks pretty clean and new. Whoa, this is the mankiest of them all. So this one is caked soot everywhere, and yeah, that one's dead. Much more better. This car's gonna love me. Alright guys, so the camera was dying, so I put it on charge. I didn't film me removing the thermostat housing or draining the oil. Pretty boring, but I've taken the thermostat housing off. It's pretty good. I don't know how you can tell if these sensors are buggered or not, but I'm going to run with it now. Without a thermostat in there, it's going to be running really cool now anyway with the huge radiator. You can see down there, there's actually 2 bolts holding it in, but I actually undid 3, so one was an earth. I've got to remember to put that on. So there you go, there's the 3 holes, but only 2 of them are for the thermostat. The other one is a ground. And then there's a rubber O-ring. Now I do have some blue gasket sealant, which I'm going to run as well. Really sparingly and really evenly, I'm going to run that around. So just in case, I don't want to take any risks. And also we had a visit from the predator. There's a bit of predator blood there. But you know the saying, if it bleeds, we can kill it. I'm going to put this back together, jump underneath, rip off the oil filter, put the new one on, fill it up with oil, and leave that for a few hours to set, then fill it back up with coolant and water and let the car warm up and see how we go. Alright, so I hope you can see down there, it's pretty dark, but I've cleaned off everything, dried it off. I'm going to put the O-ring back in the spot where it goes, and then I'm going to carefully take the gasket maker, smear of this around. Hopefully I can get it. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it on this side because I can get to it. You don't need too much because it's like a paper thin seal. If you put a lot of gasket goo on there, it sort of gives it an uneven surface, actually works against you. So that's way too much, so I'm going to smooth it off with my finger. Get nice blue fingers. So it's nice and even. And that's ready to go on. So down here, can't find the hole. Story of my life. Can't find the hole. And it's in. That's what she said. And lastly, we'll put that little ground back on. The short screw, the stump. You kind of got to use the force when you're working on cars because you can't always see what you're doing. You just sort of have to use the force. Alright, that's good to go. I'll put the hose on. I'm not going to run it or fill it with coolant yet, but we'll just leave that on there. Alright, so anyone that knows about Honda oil filters knows it's really messy getting them off and putting them back on, so I'll take you on that journey if you've never done it before. It's not the worst type of oil filter to change. Anyone who's ever owned an SR20 knows that they're the worst oil filters to change. So just a bit of a smear on there, on the thread and on the seal. Normally I would recommend that you put a bit of oil in these and fill them up if they screw on this way, just to help make sure you get instant oil pressure when you turn the car on. But in this case, just a bit of oil on there. Alright, so I can't even see where it is, but I know it's up here somewhere. There it is. So again, you got to use the force. Find the little duver and slide your hole onto it. Alright, so trusty microfiber. Clean that off, get a good grip on it. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Nice and tight. And now it's oil time. Okay, so I have no idea how much oil these Hondas take, so I've let that run down for about a minute. So I was up to the dot already, so I'm gonna put a splash more in. When I fire the car up, I'll let it run for a minute, check it again. You guys know the drill. So I don't need to teach you how to change oil, but that's all part of the vlogging process, you know, taking people along the journey with you. There we go, that looks pretty good to me. And yeah, just sharing your experiences with cars. Thanks for watching, guys. Please make sure you hit subscribe, turn the notification bell on, like this video, share it with your friends, and leave me a comment. It would really, really mean a lot to help the channel grow. So I would really appreciate if you could do that for me. Click the circle to subscribe, click the rectangle to watch another video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.